Good day, beautiful people. This is Natalie Silva with Life Treasures and Golden Moments. Welcome back. We're still in the month of January, and we're talking about things to make our lives better. Today, I'd like to share another story about attitude. But before I get started, I want to use some examples. This week, I had a friend send me a email on the computer about this dog. It was the cutest little thing. And the dog was born with no front legs. And the vet wanted to put the dog down because naturally they wouldn't think it would survive. But the lady wanted to keep the dog. And so through the years, the dog learned how to walk on its hind legs like a human. And it has become just the most special dog. She goes all over the country now talking about people with disabilities and that you can overcome those disabilities. And the dog's an example of such. And this dog is so cute. I wish I had pictures that I could show you, but we're just audio right now. But it was a very touching story. And it just touched my heart and made me think how blessed we are. And no matter what difficulties we may have in our lives, there's always someone that has something more going on. So we are truly blessed, and we should be thankful for the gifts that we are given. Another thing that I saw this evening, which also touched my heart, was these veterans that have been homeless. And in our community right now, they have built these little homes for some of the homeless veterans. And it showed tonight where they had to cut the ribbon to let the people move into these little homes tonight. And oh my goodness, it was so touching. The veteran walked into this little house that they were given with tears in their eyes and so thankful that they had a place to stay and be warm and to know that someone had reached out to help them. That was touching. Then also on the news, a father had come back from the war to be with his family, and the little girl, she was in her classroom, and they were talking about the veterans and coming home and the heroes that they are. And she looked up, and there was her daddy. And she ran over and hugged, and they both cried. And she was so happy that he was home again with her and the family. So you just have to look around sometimes to know how blessed you truly are. And no matter what circumstance or story that we might have, there is always someone with more difficulties. And if we can reach out to those people in our lives to help make their lives better, it would truly be a blessing and a special gift. So on that note, I'd like to share the special story today that was authored by Linda Newton, and it's called Half Full. My middle child, Jacob, was intelligent, resourceful, and good-looking. Despite all he had going for him, he possessed the disturbing tendency to constantly see the cup of life as half empty. Every day when he came home from school, Jacob would list everything bad that happened that day. Despite my best efforts, I couldn't convince him to lose the negative attitude and choose to count his blessings. On his 9th birthday, we saved enough money to take the family to Disneyland for 2 days. His dad and I didn't make much then, so it was a considerable sacrifice, but we felt Jacob's birthday was worth it. After doing Disneyland to death, we collapsed in our hotel room, and I asked the birthday boy, "Did you have fun today, Jake?" All my fault-finding son could say to me was, "Pirates of the Caribbean was closed." "Jacob Marshall," I chided, clearly unable to contain my exasperation. We stood in line for an hour and a half to see the Haunted Mansion. We rode Space Mountain 3 times. We walked in the park for 2 solid days. And all you can say is, Pirates of the Caribbean were closed. Clearly, something had to be done about his negative attitude, and I was going to be the one to do it. I approached my mission with the determination of a battalion commander. I read every article and bought every book. And if the internet had been available then, I would have Googled for weeks to find the ammunition I needed to defeat his negativity. With the help of great resources, I developed my strategy. Several books I read identified my son's temperament as melancholy. He was sensitive, artistic, deep, analytical, and able to see the worst in every situation. That described Jake all right. My research informed me that people with this melancholic temperament have an emotional need for order and sensitivity. That meant I needed to listen patiently to my son's daily pessimistic litany. My usual reaction was to try to talk Jake out of his negativity, but that would satisfy his need for sensitivity. I had to let him finish his lament and ask, "What good things happened today?" Then I needed to wait until he could tell me. Wait for as long as it took. This would help Jacob realize that good things really were happening to him, despite his woeful perspective. The day came when I was ready to put my new tools to work. Jake came home from school, flopped down on his bed as usual, and again to tick off his list of terrible things that had happened at school. I listened attentively, making eye contact and nodding with empathy before I asked, "What good things happened today, Jake?" His response was what I expected. "Nothing." "Something good had to happen. You were there for 6 hours. I encouraged." Then I waited 15 long minutes. That first day, determined to stay there all night if that's what it took to shift his paragon. At last he admitted, "Well, I did get to dust the erasers." "By yourself?" "No, with Brandon." "Your best friend?" "Yeah." "You mean you got to leave the class and dust erasers with your buddy?" "You were one lucky kid, if you ask me." "Yeah, I guess I am," Jake remarked, with his head back and his shoulders squared. This began a daily exercise for us. I lost count of how many times we repeated that ritual. Jacob came to understand the power of positive perspective, but the path to get there seemed to escape him at times. Then I would encourage him to see things differently, and he would get back on the track of choosing to see the positive and losing the negative attitude. It was a struggle, but he was making headway. The school year was winding down, and Mother's Day rolled around. Jake's dad took him to the store for a Mother's Day card. Next to the cake he and his sisters had prepared was the card he had chosen by himself. Grinning from ear to ear, he presented it. On the front it read, "The pessimist sees the cup half empty. The optimist sees the cup half full." I opened the card and read inside, "But Mom sees the cup as one more thing someone was to do, inconsiderate to put it in the dishwasher. Happy Mother's Day." Jake and I laughed until we cried, and in that moment I was convinced that my hard work was paying off. Every day may not be good, but there's something good in every day. Please look for the good in every day, so every day will be a beautiful day for you. Until next time, this is Natalie Silver. Take care now, and may God bless.